All right, so we are right back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video. I am not alone. This is a deck profile. Hey, Josh. Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Hi. What's going on? For people who do not know, Josh is one of my local people, and we bout heads all the time. Most of the time, I'm like a 90% percentile maybe of winning, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I like to test all my new stuff against him.
Oh, okay. All right. That's where we get. That's how you get out of that. Okay. Well, today he's got a pretty awesome and fun looking deck, and one of the reasons why I wanted to put this out is because I wanted to work with Baby, and the original build that I had before was Baby Vegeta Baby veggies, and it actually worked out pretty well. It's just that it wasn't consistent enough, but it was fun. But as soon as I saw this and he was playing it at our locals, I think I was just like, you know what, that everybody should see this. So yeah, what about you, Josh? What do you think for this?
Well, for this leader particularly, when I first saw him, I was like, damn, that looks like a lot of fun. So I've always kind of had it in the back of my head that I wanted to get something built, and I didn't really care for the whole Baby engine when it comes to like the ape and stuff. I just felt like they were too clunky. And then also going up against one of my cousins, he was using the bandage package with Yamcha when everything was first put on untap, and he kicked my butt with it. It was pretty cool. I saw how consistent it is, how much pressure it can apply without actually doing anything. So people either put way too much effort into getting rid of your pieces, or they put way too little effort because they think that you're not going to be able to do anything. So it's a lot of a mind game, and I feel like that's what Vegeta Baby wants to get done. It's all sort of the mind game. So that's kind of why I went about building it. And recently, once I finally got my 4th Yamcha, I was like, you know, I'm gonna take it to locals, and it's pretty fun. It's really consistent, pretty good against the meta. It's not like oppressive to any particular deck, but it has a good matchup against almost everything. Interesting.
I think it has the right place against like the top decks. Even you know, Storm / Swap, Cell Chain can be kind of a 50-50, I'd say, right? But we'll kind of talk through that. But first, we can go through the deck itself, because you already kind of explained, you know, why you made it and everything like that. But where do you want to start? Left to right, or do you want to start with the bandages, spike engine?
The main thing with any Vegeta Baby is you gotta start with what he does. So more about the popping.
Yeah,
so let's start with the active main battle, the active battle, and his counter card. So with all of the defensive red stuff that we have access to, in my opinion, red is starting to lean further away from aggression and more on the defensive, but people still view it as purely aggression. With this leader, like, you can awaken really fast, but what I realized over testing is you don't want to awaken. A lot like Announcer almost. You want to stay on that front side for as long as you possibly can, unless the matchup is really, really poor for you. For instance, like hand destruction that is consistently hitting your hand, not Cell Chain. That's pretty difficult to handle. So you want to awaken as fast as possible because you want to keep a large hand size. Which I'd honestly say that is the toughest matchup, which is, if piloted correctly, like any Broly or Shenron build with the 1-star ball.
All right.
Outside of that, the fact that there is no real negate in this deck, I think, is more of a benefit than a negative. You don't really care if your opponent combos. It's actually like a deceptive way of getting your opponent to discard cards, because they will never get an attack off on you if you are properly set up. And for the most part, it only takes one card to get out of absolutely any attack in this deck.
That's true. That's true. And I think this is a very defensive deck, and when you get the right things set up and the right combos and sequencing set up, it's pretty much what you wanted to do. And as we're here and we're talking about the activate main, I might as well just go through the whole card. So he's Vegeta Baby on the front side instead of Baby Vegeta. I don't know why they didn't do that, but it's Vegeta Baby. And
yeah, that's the worst thing about him.
Yeah, and as he is, I don't know if he'll take us. Yeah, it does. So he is an attack leader, draw one, but he also has the activate main where you can take one from your life and then minus something 5k for the duration of turn. This in tandem with the Revenge Death Ball, Afterimage technique, Planet M2, all these other ones that minus are really good combos with this. And then he's a flip 2 for active, and then on the other side he's Sane Power Vegeta Baby. He does have an attack and draw one, and then once per turn you choose one of your battle cards, it loses 15k, and then you choose two of theirs, it loses 10k for the duration of turn. So the duration of turn I think is busted AF, because you can kind of combo a lot of different things to get a lot of different things off the board, and it's pretty cool to see. And he's Sane Machine Man, and I know you're talking about counters, but we don't have any like the Unending Awakening and things like that, right? So still has access to that.
Which I've been debating putting back in, but I don't know. That feels too clunky. And the bandage package is pretty hefty.
Here, let's go back real quick. All right, there you go. So, okay. So we now know the leader and know everything else. Did you want to go through all the cards?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, where do you want to start?
So, first off, the deck pretty much pilots as if you are just using the leader. Everything else just kind of, you blindly do attacks with them, or you just leave them on board. So for instance, like the fact that bandage can be summoned 8 times due to Baba is pretty cool. You just kind of leave them out there. And my favorite thing about the spam ability of this deck is all of them get their effects off when they're killed or KO'd. And because of that, you don't really care if you get commied. So I think that's really, really powerful in today's meta, where you have to build knowing that you're going to get commied if you're spamming. But this deck, although you're going to lose your blockers, you kind of want them to do it because they end up killing their board. They overextend with energy, a bunch of little nuances that end up helping you out.
And some cool little recursion stuff going on as well. So that's good.
Yeah. Then the random cards that were just kind of thrown in.
Well, let's do this first then, because how about we'll go through the random cards, and then as well as like the baby package, or like the baby stuff like Revenge Death Ball and the things that are associated with it, and then we'll go through the bandages and everything else, like the Earthling stuff, so that way everybody can understand what's like going on and why, basically. Because I know when this first came out, I don't think people paid attention enough to it, especially the Spikes, bandages, and Grandpa Gohan kind of engine going on. And I think with this leader and as well as this deck itself, it's pretty interesting. But so the Dark Power Messian. So this one, when you play opponent's battle, or when your opponent plays a battle card of 15k or less, they have to drop 2 with a non-keyword skill, and then of course you can attack and get 10k in life. So why'd you put this one in?
Honestly, I had 2 spots open.
Okay. All right, and moving on. we'll come back to that.
Like, in all reality, I saw how the deck doesn't really have a lot of ways to get around people building up a large hand. And you're already popping a bunch of cards. You really don't need the Crisis Crushers, and it has such a good matchup against Storm that I didn't want to put the Crisis Crushers in, so I went with the Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan, because although you don't want or need to summon him every single time you see him, in a lot of matchups that are really hard to determine when you're going to get killed or when you should go for the kill. He's actually really, really good. So like against Shenron's, against Pan, the only time I actually summoned it during that tourney was against the Pan, and it helped a lot. I think that was the only one that I lost against our friend Nico, and he was playing a very similar build to this one, but it wasn't bandage package.
Wasn't he playing Pan? Or no?
Yeah, he was playing Pan.
Oh, okay.
But like the play style was very similar, where you're just kind of defending a huge board of things and going off. Right. And the only reason I lost is I overextended. I thought I could kill him while he was at 4 life, and he had absolutely every answer, where I could have just killed everything on his board and been completely fine. But I got greedy.
Never trust Miko, dog.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
But the other thing I would say to replace this is maybe, I don't know. I mean, if you're finding use of it, then just keep it as is. But maybe Kami. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but I mean, it does KO everything, and it procs off the effects of getting KO'd, right? And I don't know, or Shenron, the 4-drop Shenron, in order to recursion or use recursion for any of the 2 drops that you might have, or just for energy manipulation. I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things of like you have that one overwhelm card, which in this deck, is pretty important just to have one, or the little as possible for overwhelm, for sparking, and as well as the effects that it has. But Shenron in itself, because you're gonna have those people in the drop and the sparking 5, I think it might be pretty good to have him in there for the draw and untap too.
I do like that idea. I'll probably try that out. It's pretty cool. But I think Kami is more realistic. Just because 4 energy, although you could get your 2 energy back, committing that to the board sometimes in a deck that you're just trying to attack nonstop with little things, it might end up being a cloggy turn where you could be expending too much. But if you do get back to your turn where it's already out, it's amazing. I do agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
with Kami, the fact that you can just kill all of your spikes that no one wants to kill, it's pretty cool.
That's true.
So I think Kami would probably be better.
Okay. Ponder that. And then of course the scientist foo seems like a game ender, right? That one scientist foo, and you're gonna have those cards in the drop in order to get that over roam 7 and then draw 2. Is that what the thought process was for that?
He's pretty much just a game ender, as well as a way to get your hand back to a healthy size. I wasn't really sure how the matchup would be against Cell Chain, and it wasn't like an easy matchup, but it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. Just because you got Yamchas to add a bunch of cards back to your hand, you got Babas, then you got the Scientist Foos. If you don't allow Cell Chain to ever land an attack on you, which is actually fairly easy, as long as you don't expend any energy. I think I went against 2, maybe 3 Cell Chains that day, and I just charged and passed after attacking, usually, just because like if they attack with anything, they usually don't have barrier, the ones that are attacking, so you could just kill anything that is going for stuff, and then even if they are awakening themselves, you don't care that much, because you're committing stuff to board, or you are killing what they committed to board. And as long as you don't take any life against Cell Chain with this, you can take your own life afterwards, and your hand builds up pretty fast.
Yeah.
So the matchup is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think Baby Vegeta actually has a really good card advantage, or hand advantage, if anything, early game, and just the attack and then take life is just really good. And with the Scientist Foo, yeah, I can see the thought process behind that. And of course, Revenge Death Ball, the bane of everybody's existence. You can't negate it. You can't do anything about it, and it applies before combo period. So The the Revenge Death Ball, obviously a baby staple, and it plus 10s the baby leader during the combo phase, which is just activate battle, and then minus this 5 or 15k for the duration of turn for one of their battle cards. So effectively, if they're attacking your leader, it's going to be a plus 25, and then they lose something and eventually probably die because of one of the effects that minuses something. So have you found this to be very useful lately?
Absolutely every single match. There has not been a single game that Revenge Death Ball was not the MVP.
Okay.
So I think the funniest incursion of Revenge Death Ball has to be when you're against Janemba players, because most Janemba players get really greedy. They want to attack with that crit, even though they absolutely don't need to. And even if they do summon something before their leader attacks, you can do everything during the leader attack on whatever they summoned, which is also really cool, and a lot of people don't think about that all the time.
Right.
Better players, of course, will think of that for the most part. The person that I did it to playing Janemba, he's a great player, though. But I think he was more baiting me out of those cards because he had another reality bender in hand. So, like, they can play around it, but at the same time, it's awesome that you can do it because it puts them in a weird spot.
Yeah, not only takes away that critical threat, but also puts them down into the drop instead of the deck, so that way they don't keep getting it out and continuing the mill. Well, that makes sense. You can definitely play around it. That makes sense. And if they KO it, or if you KO it with Revenge Death Ball or something else, or with something else that is, then they can just use Reality Bender for 1 if they have no cards. Then that's good. That's good. Then Afterimage technique, same thing. Leader card is red. You choose one of your cards against 40k for the duration of the battle, and then they get minuses 10k for the duration of turn for one of their battle cards. And of course, you can take it with life if you have 5 in drop and don't pay energy. So how about this one? Is these two pretty much in tandem with each other?
They go tandem. When it comes to Afterimage, although I think Revenge Death Ball is better than Afterimage, I think it's very, very neck and neck. Afterimage has more of the sneaky plays. I think my favorite thing that I was able to do to multiple people is I'd get myself down to 5 life, tap completely out, and bait people into attacking with things that they normally would not want to attack with, just so that I could take a life, awaken, and then use Revenge Death Ball, and then I could kill a 25k that they normally wouldn't be aggressing with.
Which is funny. It's very funny. Because, like, people who don't know, this is a counterattack, not negate, in which doesn't negate anything, which you discussed before. It doesn't have any negates. You continue into the combo phase, in which you can use Revenge Death Ball for the activate battle, and after awakening, of course, you untap too. So that is pretty funny. Pretty funny.
I actually pulled that off on a 5-drop cell. They saw that I was tapped out at 5 life, and they're like, "Oh, perfect shot!" And I was able to pull it off. Which, if people get more experience against this type of deck, I don't feel like anyone would actually do that.
But still, I mean, that's still pretty important. Not making them attack is very important when you're tapped out.
Yeah. But the whole fact that you can tap out is one of the better things about all the new negates, and I think this is the most interesting one, and it's very, very entertaining to activate it and ask people to combo.
Fantastic.
Because you're ahead of them by like a 50k combo.
Hilarious. And then you minus 10k, so it's just like...
Yeah, I've yet to see anyone try to combo over, but if it ever happens, like that's a guaranteed win.
Right. I think the other thing is just that one of the only other ways to really get around it, other than the plus 40k, is just attack with your leader, so that way you don't minus 10k to their leader. But that's really about it. Like, other than that, you got the combo out, so doesn't make any sense. Plenty M2. So the one of
So Planet M2, I was actually about to take it out, and then I realized like it's really, really good in this type of deck where you're not using it to kill people for the most part, because all of your things in the deck are already KOing everything. You're really just using it so that you have more pressure in a deck that has medium-ish pressure. So basically, all of your stuff is 15k, and you don't really want to combo very often. So Planet M2 is essentially a once per turn discard one from your opponent, because it forces them to combo one more thing. Or like if they're gonna super combo and you put them down to 10 and you're at 15, like you're forcing a super combo. It's pretty nice.
It's good. And again, if you use one of these for the duration of a turn, either the leader card or any of the other ones that minuses, then Planet M2 can do the rest, and that's some good stuff. Plus, we have the once $15 dash pack card, Fortune Teller Baba, Earthseer. You play this card, you choose one of your Earthling cards in your leader or battle area, which he is not, so it's going to be any of these targets. It gains 5k, and then when you combo this card from the battle area, you draw one card, and then choose one of their battle cards, and gains minus 5k for the duration of a turn. So again, I spoke about this in one of my shenanigans videos for Yamcha, in which this is pretty much a 15k sort of card altogether for one and a draw, because you basically give something 10k after your combo and then 5k for something else. So how's this card been?
So I'd say it's about 50-50 usually, my energy. But that's only because of Revenge Deathball. If I wasn't a baby leader, then that would be the go-to summon. But she's...
Your mic kinda went off.
Okay. I'd say she was 50-50 energy, but she is really good to summon. I just don't really use her as often because of Revenge Deathball. If I'm able to get something out that can apply pressure, I usually won't use her. But for instance, in every Cell matchup that I've had, I will summon every single one, just kind of leave it there. Either they will waste their pop on it, or they will forget that it's there. You'll get your draw back. And also I've kind of realized the more I play against cells, you really want to commit as many things to board. Lower your own hand. It puts them in a weird spot.
Okay, cool. And other than Cell Chain and Super 17, and I guess a couple other different things like the Ultimate Box 17, they don't really have too much removal unless they add it to themselves. So
yeah, I didn't face any, but she's also same exact boat against Gogeta. She's very, very good. That deck doesn't really have any removal outside of the 5-drop Gogeta, I believe. And because of that, they're not really getting rid of her unless they commit as much as they can. And if they're doing that to get rid of her, then you still have your blockers, you still have your deadly defenders, you have your spikes. So it kind of, me and my cousins like to put it, she is the Eye of Mordor pointing at her. So everyone looks at her and will waste anything that they can to kill her.
How nice. Okay. Moving on. The Baba, the other Baba, Champions Leader. So we'll actually kind of come back to this because it kind of goes with the bandages spike and Grandpa Gohan stuff. The top 3 for everybody's pal that searches out an Earthling, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 8 targets in itself as far as the search for the top 3. So that's really good, right? Any quick thoughts on this?
I think I put every single one that I drew into play the second that I drew it. It's that good. Just the fact that you could search your super combos is
just stupid.
Probably the best thing about it. I primarily would search for super combos. If it wasn't a super combo, I would go for either the Deadly Defender or a Baba, because the Baba that summons bandage.
Right.
Outside of that, there's nothing bad about him. He's not overwhelming, but he's good enough that if people don't get rid of him, you're most likely winning because he gets so much advantage.
Yeah, people tend to forget, like, you plus like every single time that you attack, and you're putting on pressure. So if you don't get rid of him, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And especially in Pan, like, he's a 20k draw one, so, well, technically draw two, but it's just wild. And then of course the super combos that you mentioned, Sparking 5, which makes sense. Everything kind of focuses on the drop area instead of less life. I mean, if you weren't focusing on drop area, the other super combo would be better for Baby Vegeta because he does have the ability to awaken quickly. And yeah, not too much to say about that. New 0 cost 10k, right? Skipping the spike and Deadly Defender, kind of self-explanatory, right? It's just
in a defensive deck, you want more defense is never bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that he has barrier and people will expend as much as they can trying to kill it, or just even if they're only attacking with all of their things in a row, not comboing, they're not losing anything. But now your deck has so many attack oriented things that now you can kill all of their stuff just because they wanted to kill one deadly defender.
Right, exactly. And yeah, it is 15k on their end, but there are a lot of options like Afterimage technique and a few others that reduces their attacking power, especially if they're attacking with a battle card other than the leader. It is kind of hard to get rid of in this deck, I think. And then we have the Grandpa Gohans. We'll come back to that. Foreseeing Hit, probably the best red battle card still. I'm gonna say that for sure, other than like these two cards. But as a battle card, yeah, that's definitely one of the best, if not the best, where it chooses two battle cards with 35,000 or less power and sends it to the warp after looking at their hand and playing it for 4 energy. It's a card that everybody knew, especially in the red blue Super Saiyan 3 days. There's just really not, it's self-explanatory, I feel like, as far as this one too. And then the lightning fast hit, where it evolves and then inflict 2 damage, which is always so trolly, especially in our best of 1 locals. So any thoughts on these two?
If you're playing pure red, play Foreseeing Hit. That's all I really got to say about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if you're not landing a hit, you get knowledge, and knowledge is everything. So just knowing exactly how much they could combo when you're going for their battle cards, how much negating they can do, all of it is really good. And also the lightning fast hit, you're playing so defensively that you're going to get to the late game with enough energy. If they don't kill your hit, they're usually hovering around 4 to 2 life anyways, because you're attacking so many times in this deck. It's a really satisfying card. And also, in my opinion, I think running lightning fast, if you have Foreseeing Hit, is just kind of the way to go, even if you're not going to use them. The second that you charge one of those 2 lightning fasts, people freak out, and it's really amusing. It's funny to see what they end up doing. It changes their play style a lot, and usually in your benefit. Like I didn't have another lightning fast. I didn't have another Foreseeing Hit, and I just charged one because I was at 3 energy and I felt like the game was going to end within the turn or 2. So once I did that, I just defended a Foreseeing Hit as if I had another lightning fast in hand, and it got rid of a lot of pressure. So it's pretty nice.
It's good.
And then also, when you get lightning fast stuff, it just feels so good.
Always, because the game's done. Like, they have 2 life, it's done.
Yeah, and then you don't have that like gut wrenching feeling of, oh, are they gonna negate? Are they gonna combo out? It's just kind of, hey, look at what I got, GG.
Exactly. It's like the old Exodia, or the original Exodia before Victory Strike. But Okay, so let's go over the Grandpa Gohan bandages and Spike package real quick, and then yeah, that's really the only thing. So all of these are searchable by everybody's pal. The first one you were saying is to get Baba, so we'll go for her first. And it says, when you play this card, choose up to 1 bandages, Spike, or Son Gohan. I think is either one, right?
No, I think it is. Oh,
it's actually, only this one?
I think you're right. You're right.
Okay, yeah, because it doesn't have
character name, not card name.
Yeah, because it doesn't have the brackets. So that I think that's the difference for that. And then from your deck and place in your drop area, shuffle your deck, and then choose one of your bandages card from your drop area and play it. So that's kind of self-explanatory, and you kind of get any one of those. So go ahead and explain this sort of package for me and how you generally play it.
So you're primarily waiting till like turn 2 to play her. Turn 1, if you're not just leaving your energy open, you're going for the bandage, you're just playing bandage alone. And then turn 2, if they killed that bandage, you're using Baba to then send like the 3-drop from your deck into the drop, and you're re-summoning the bandage. So this deck, it defends even more because you can get those 8 bandages if you properly set it up. But usually you're sending a Spike or the 3-drop off of her, unless you can't find that bandage. If you have the bandage, you play it, and then you just use all of the Babas to get the bandage back. I think she's best for sending the 3-drop though, the one that summons the vanilla, just because if you have a Spike in hand, one of the best things to do is when you block with bandage, you just combo out the Spike. So it hits the drop, then he dies, then you get the Spike. So it's pretty good.
Okay, that's a cool little interaction. So for those who don't know, Bandages to the Rescue is a 1-drop with blocker, and then when it's KO'd, you choose 1 Spike from your drop area and play in a rest mode. And then Spike, when this is KO'd, you choose 1 Son Gohan from the drop area and play in a rest mode. And then, of course, when it attacks, it gains a 9k for the duration of turn, effectively 5k, or 15k when it's attacking. And then this guy is a 3-drop with Activate main. Choose this card along with the Bandages and Spike from the drop area and place it into the bottom of the owner's deck, which helps against Janemba. And then choose one of your Grandpa Gohan, which does have the brackets, this one, from the drop or from the deck or drop, and then choose that card. It gains 5k and double strike. So he is pretty much a 35,000 big boy with double strike. So that's basically how it goes, right? You just kind of keep going into the cycle.
Training through and through. If they kill it, or usually people will try and find a way to remove it without KOing. But if they do that, then they're letting them sit for a while. So your spikes end up building up a lot. Usually Spike ends up being your primary aggressor because no one will kill it. But that's really good because then you have stuff that your opponent is just letting you sit on.
Right. And if they do kill it, you get a Son Gohan back. So that's nice.
Yeah. Which gives you potential 3 damage because you have the 19k, then you have a 35 double.
Right.
So,
which is
pretty
just
cool.
Just wild stuff. So yeah, overall, very cool deck. Looks like a fun deck. And when I saw it, because I didn't get to play against it, it did look fun. And the only other thing was just matchups. So what do you think the toughest matchups would be?
I think people who can build up a large enough board past the destruction. That's the biggest issue for this. So of the multiple cell chains that I went against, the only one who came close to winning was just spamming out as many droids as possible. And then the one loss was because of chain attack multiple times, summoning a bunch of stuff. And I even had the Black Mass Saiyan out, and like they didn't really care too much because like they're usually summoning out the Gohans, and those will get the cards back. So I'd say the toughest matchup is actually probably Pan, as well as with Zeno, of course, if they are able to take the life from you. But early game, I still think that Baby has the better odds. It's just the later the game gets, Pan is very difficult to deal with.
I agree. And it makes sense because with Zeno, it kind of resets everything and doesn't put anything into your drop, which, you know, that's what it kind of relies on for the engine, or the main engine. And when that goes away, you kind of have to start all over again. So definitely makes sense. Okay. Well, there's not really much else, and I'm sure we've talked enough or spoke enough. Any closing thoughts?
Not really. Just keep your creativity in the air for you, for the community, everyone. I'm tired of seeing all the same exact decks, but there's some little diamonds in the rough like this one that you can have some pretty good amount of fun without people knowing how to deal with you. Because the biggest issue with meta decks is everyone who isn't necessarily the best player, they immediately go to those. But the big issue is people know how to deal with that. So if you're still trying to get better at the game, you have even less of an odd, less of a chance to win. So the coolest thing about these little decks that are
pretty much rogue decks.
Yeah, the rogue decks, you have more of a knowledge game against your opponent, and then they have really, really high ceilings. So although the deck is fairly easy to use, there's so many different things that you could do as the pilot of the deck to like make it just that much better. Whereas in like Storm, you're just kind of smacking into people nonstop, and if they have all the answers for it, you can't really do anything. Whereas this one, there's always an answer.
Right.
So.
Okay. Cool. And I think so. I'm excited to see what people think and what people would come about for this one, and if you update this or continue to play it, what comes out of it. But so far, like I said, fun deck. Don't think there's anything else. Thank you for being here and talking about it, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always a good time.
Yeah, and other than that, if you guys want to see gameplay about on this, maybe we can do it on Friday Night Fights or do a separate video. But other than that, I will see you in the next one. Like, dislike, subscribe if you're new. Say bye to Josh. Bye, guys.